So I'll tell you, this is one of my podcasts. These are my new podcast buddies, Roy and Mike. They are from the podcast is called The View from Here, and I think we initially scheduled for I don't know 45 minutes. I don't know, Roy, how long was that podcast supposed to be? And we ended up sitting there talking for about two or 2.5 hours. I really enjoyed the show with you guys, and I think we're trying to get you on video now. I kind of heard you come in via I kind of heard your sound. Are you there, Roy?
Yes.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Hey, Roy. Hey, Mike. The View from Here, guys.
Hello.
There they are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear and see you. Hey, Mike even has a tie. And what's your tie, Mike?
It's Tigger.
Tigger. Is that a Christmas?
Because
Tigger?
it reminds me of Trump.
Is that a Christmas?
Hey.
It's orange and it never runs out of energy.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wear the buckwheat tie because it's been done.
So where are you guys located?
East Coast, I can tell.
Yeah. New Jersey.
I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in the Lehigh Valley.
Behind enemy lines in New Jersey.
So what are you seeing there in Lehigh Valley? Is how I mean, I'm sure you've looked at election results. Are you seeing any surprises? What's your take on what's going on the ground there?
It's too early.
Yeah.
But from a personal point of view, I wear a MAGA hat all over the place. I have so for the last 4 years, and I've talked to, I've interacted with thousands of people, and many of them I've had long conversations, and it's becoming very intense here, and there is a very pro-Trump Vance group in this area.
Excellent. And New Jersey, I think we know is going to trend blue, Roy. But what are you seeing on the map here that either has you concerned or excited about the election returns tonight?
So many people have turned out for Trump, and I've seen so many people, or so many Trump signs all over. They dwarf the Harris Walsh sign. The amazing, because it is a very deep.
Oh. Might have lost them.
However,
I think you need to get a little closer to your phone, Roy. It's we're not picking up your audio.
now? Is that better?
It is
Yes,
better.
much better.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I had
That
it
is
sitting on
okay.
a thing there that covered up the speaker there. I apologize. Anyway, I think we're going to get a lot more Trump votes than they expect. If we run an honest election, I think Trump even has a chance of winning the state.
Wow.
Roy, this is Chad.
I mean, there were so many people. Look at New York City, for example. 80 or 85,000 people showed up in Madison Square Garden. Only 20 got in, but the outside, the streets were packed with MAGA hats. My brother was there that night. I was supposed to be there with my girlfriend too. She had tickets. However, we couldn't go because it was her granddaughter's birthday that day. And here in New Jersey, I mean down south in Wildwood, I know people who went down there. They said there were probably between 80 and 100,000 people, even though the media tried to claim it was only 30.
Wow.
Right.
And that's what worries me about everything, by the way. Oh, by the way, Mike, you look like a cheap mafia hood. Mafia boss, I should say. A cheap mafia boss.
Not
Anyway.
in the Tigger tie.
Thank you for
Not in the
nationally
Tigger tie.
insulting me. Thank you.
Oh.
What are friends for? Anyway,
Yeah, with
this is
friends
how
like
we are
these,
on the
right?
podcast, by the way.
I would insult Roy, except it's a target-rich environment.
Anyway, what you were saying before, I worry about what's going to happen after the election. I think Trump is going to win, but we already have, for example, there's a thing called 65 Project, which is some supposed watchdog group of attorneys that are going to go after attorneys who helped Trump, either in his civil and criminal trials, which are all shams, or if they help him contest the election if in case it's stolen. I worry about that. I worry about. I I've heard talk that the Democrats may be planning to institute martial law, which would mean there would be no transfer of power in January. I may be, worrying about nothing, but
Well, the problem is that as far as I'm concerned, our opposition, whatever you want to call them, I can't say it on public, but anyway, the opposition has proven itself to be so caustic that I won't put anything past them. They've even said, by any means necessary, more than once. So these are people that have made true public statements that have been criminal. And so I don't know what they can or can't do, but I wouldn't put anything past them. So
from New
I
York,
think
sorry, go ahead.
I think primarily what's happened, and this is more important than even winning the election. I think the most important thing that's happening is many of the American people that we admire, the patriot inside, okay, the patriot in one's heart, they are alive and they are walking the streets now. And regardless of what they respond to and what they do, they're not going to be silenced anymore. They're not going to be buried. They're not going to be overrun anymore, and they're not going to be ignored.
Yeah, like somebody said, for 40 years now, they've been poking us in the chest with their finger, and we keep moving back. Right. There's going to be a point at where Americans are going to say, no, enough of this.
Well, I think that time has come.
And,
I think that time has come.
Yeah. I'd
What's
like
that?
to respond to something that you did say about marriage. I think the main reason why gay marriage was allowed is because the nature of the law was embedded with the word marriage, and that these people wanted to have a more meaningful relationship than just being lovers. So because of the nature of the law, there was no room for them other than basically piggybacking on the previous laws. So I think that in truth, they're not truly married because it's a unfruitful relationship, but from a legal standpoint, they are.
Well, and I advocated for a long time, not necessarily for gay marriage, but for gay rights when it came to divorce and gay rights when it came to end of life care. I know many people, both my parents retired from hospice. They're very conservative, but my dad's a minister. My mom is a social worker, and they both saw firsthand how people in long-term relationships, 20, 30 years, and when folks bought a house, back, in the 1990s, but they bought a house in the 60s, only one person, they didn't give a mortgage to two people if you weren't married. And so the name is in one person. 30 years later, they have the house. They don't do the proper paperwork to have dual ownership of the house. A partner dies, and the family that maybe ostracized that gay son or gay brother or lesbian sister, they would swoop in and literally steal the house and kick the partner out of the house that they helped pay for 30 years. And I never could really kind of come to grips with how that could possibly be fair. And so I've always kind of just, advocated like, hey, listen, where's a reasonable spot where government should be intervening in these cases? And I told my gay friends at the time, going back to the 90s, like, can we take the word marriage out of it and include the word rights? And like Chad did, like, end of life rights. Like there's a certain level of, I just felt like credibility and respect Republicans lose when we don't listen to people and try to understand the plight that they're in.
Absolutely. And that's what we need to do better as a party. We need to listen to our constituents. We need to listen to people. And that's how we need to get more people into our party, by protecting them. That's, to your point, it's about protection, the government, and what we need to do as a party. I mean, sometimes you just got to look at it as those two guys or two women that were married, and then somebody comes, next of kin comes and takes their house away. They were paying the bills.
And kicked them out.
And
kicked them out. Like, paid for this house.
Or some estranged daughter.
Laws without spirit serve no one.
Yeah.
They just they all they do is they arbitrarily dissect society instead of going ahead and promoting and nurturing society.
Well,
Plus, hey, the gays should have the right to marry also, because why should straight people be the only ones who are miserable?
I never stopped you.
Listen, I'll tell you, I talked to these guys, for 2 hours. I think it was 2 hours, wasn't it, guys?
Yeah,
And
it was just
Felt
about
like
2
2 hours.
it was so much fun. And you can see why. You should definitely check out their podcast, The View from Here. What else do you guys have to share with us what do you think happens in the next couple days? What's your prediction on when we find out the winner? Let's ask that one.
I think if Trump does win, there's going to be a lot of violence in the streets, especially in the blue cities.
Well, I hope you're wrong.
Well,
I don't know what's going to happen this time. I mean, the Biden administration is going to do nothing to stop it. I hope the local law enforcement finally grows balls and says, no, we're not going to listen to this, and we're going to stop it before any more property is destroyed, before any more people are hurt.
So do you think that if that were to happen, that it would then be considered another January 6th? Or would the media and everybody else squash that because it's the Democrats that lost?
Well, there was
January
no COVID pandemic, and there was no January 6th, except done by the opposition of liberty. That was a sham. That was a false flag. That was a way of basically demonizing the Republican MAGA movement and making it difficult for MAGA people to basically express themselves because of fear based upon such an extreme injustice.
Yeah, intimidating us into not protesting. I mean, but under the Constitution, January 6th was completely legal and constitutional. It's when the people can go there and air their grievances and say, no, something's wrong before you certify this election. We want you to investigate it. And then they caused this chaos, which, the government caused the chaos, actually. And these people were arrested. And meanwhile, Congress slipped in the certification without any resistance.
Let's not forget the Summer of Love. That was certainly unacceptable.
Well, we've had I don't know. I know that Harris supposedly had the campaign of joy, and yet she called us or her surrogates called us Hitler, weak, stupid, go down the list of other things that we were called throughout the campaign. And and then she finishes trying to say, hey, I'm a unifying voice. And I just thought her closing argument, and we'll see I think we'll see tonight. It's certainly Harris's closing argument over this last 72 hours was kind of the same as Biden's, like, oh, I'm going to unify the country, I'm going to be a president for everybody. I just think that it comes as from a more disingenuous place when it comes from her. Biden at least had 40 years of experience and friendships and proof that he tried to unify or tried to at least work across the aisle when he was in the U.S. Senate. And Harris has absolutely no history of working with Republicans on anything and being anything but a divisive person. And it'll be interesting because these two campaigns have had such a different closing argument. Of course, Trump's closing argument is that I've done it, I was successful, and Harris is unqualified and not trustworthy. So we'll, two completely different closings to the campaign. We'll see which one works. But Roy and Mike and from New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
The main difference between the Republicans and the Democrats, the Republicans call this day Election Day. The Democrats call it Selection Day.
I didn't get that.
Selection Day.
Selection Day.
Oh, Selection Day. Selection Day. Okay.
Oh, and by the way, I have to disagree with you real quick. Kamala did unify the Trump voters and independents by calling us what she called us. And I think she's going to bring out more votes this time than we've ever seen before. I'm hoping so anyway.
And I think that's what we certainly have seen here in Florida. I know they called Florida as soon as the polls closed in the central time zone, under our great leadership of Governor Ron DeSantis. And what we're seeing here in Florida, and I hope it carries out throughout the country, is urban voters were not excited about Harris and did not show up to vote, and rural voters showed up in droves and provided him a huge victory here in Florida. It looks like it's trending towards 8 or 9 points, which is unheard of in a presidential election. As you two guys know, I'm a veteran of the 2000 election, and 537 votes separated the two candidates by after 6 million were cast. But we do have our next guest, so I do appreciate you guys coming on, and thank you so much, Roy and Mike.
Thank you for inviting us.
No,
Thanks for
thank
having
you so
us,
much.
yeah.
I look forward to our next discussion. So thanks a lot.
All right.
And thanks
Have
for
a
the
good
show.
night.
All right, have a great
Don't
night.
try. Bye.
All right, babe, you brought up some.
Get out of here.
You
We got
brought
to
up a
leave the
map
studio,
here.
I guess. Here we go.
I guess so, yeah.
You brought up a map, and currently, out of the states that have been called here, I guess this is a Google map. Is that what we have here, babe? Or AP? The AP
yeah.
hasn't called the race. Okay, so I think this is Associated Press. No real surprises here. No real surprises on the map as of yet. North Carolina, they're showing as a light pink. Georgia, light pink. Texas, light pink. Pennsylvania, light blue. Michigan, light blue. I tried to go to a couple of websites in Michigan. I haven't been, we weren't successful in getting that county data yet. It didn't show any data whatsoever for Michigan.
Couple things. The governor of North Carolina is not going to be Robinson. Stein demolished him.
Yeah.
So
That was a foregone conclusion, I thought.
Right now, there's about 41% in, and it looks like 49.6 to 49.1. Dems are ahead right now. Georgia, you got 53% in. Republicans look strong right now with that figure. So not again, it's way too early to call, but I kind of like where this is going.
Yeah, so, and I'll just say, when we see these results, when you see the results on CNN or Fox News where it says, 22% reporting, that's 22% of precincts. So it doesn't necessarily mean the 22% of voters. So that's why when we're looking at this data, we look at the number of votes cast in 2016 and 2020, and we try to compare the number of actual raw votes each candidate has, so we can kind of really tell, whether it's so to speak cooked. Does that make sense, Jennifer? Or you look like you have a question?
No, I think this just goes back to, the voting integrity, right? So when does that come into play? Is it, how
Pennsylvania.
yeah.
Here it is. Okay, good.